Afternoon, folks. Bill here. Still got to say I miss all of you. We'll be back together soon enough, I hope. We appreciate everybody that's been coming in and spending time and shopping with us, and we do hope everybody stays safe, and thanks for continuing to wear masks and whatnot, and we'll all get through this and get back together soon. Got some fun wines for you today we want to try. We're going to start off with a kind of a classic Italian wine. This is something that I learned about early on in my wine years. A fairly basic, I'll call it a simple white wine. It's not real expensive. Orvieto, that's the region. I'll tell you the three grapes it's made from, or I'm going to try to in a second anyway. La Leccia is the winery. So the three grapes are Grape, Cognaco, and Drapeggio. The fellow that wrote all those down didn't do a very good job, but that was me, so I can't complain too much. So you can see here, hopefully, kind of just a light pale color. Just the grapes. There's no oak involved. You get a nice citrus kind of character in the nose. It tells me right off the bat this is going to be a refreshing wine. Actually, you haven't had an Orvieto in a while. This is reminded me. It's light, it's crisp, it's refreshing, but it's actually got a nice little softness to it as well. Very inviting. I think we're going to be enjoying this with some chickens we're going to smoke. I'm going to smoke a couple of chickens here in just a little bit. I think this will go well with while I'm outside messing with the smoker and or actually enjoying the chicken. Yep, that's quite delicious. You could have it with a lot of things. We had some folks over yesterday. One of them brought a pasta salad, and this would be perfect with that. It'd hold up to most any type of salad, really, and basically lighter foods, or just sitting around sipping. These warm days, we need wines like that. If you've been around me any time at all, you've heard me pontificate about Riesling. I'm a big fan of Riesling, and if some of you still think that all Riesling is sweet, don't walk away. Stay right where you're at, because that's not the case. Rieslings can go from quite sweet to a little sweet to dry to just intensely dry. It's one of my favorite grape varieties. I've always said that if I was to be stranded on a desert island and I could only have one kind of wine with me, it would be Riesling. There'd be a lot of Riesling, and it would be Rieslings of all different types. I want my dessert Riesling there, but I would have lots of crisp, dry Riesling, because I'm assuming this desert island's going to be a pretty warm environment, so I'm going to want to have nice, crisp, cold Riesling. I'm sure they'll have a refrigerator or a chest full of ice for me there. This is Pikes. They make several Rieslings. This is one they call Hills and Valleys. This is from Australia. And as I learned to love Riesling, of course, we think of Germany for Riesling. They make great Rieslings. But I also love Rieslings from Austria, Australia. Washington State makes some great ones. New York makes some great ones, and we even have a few, surprisingly, here in Virginia, although it's not our top grape variety. But good Riesling should have bracing acidity, which this wine does, good mineral characteristics, and sometimes citrus or lime. The flavors can vary. Mm. Wow, just such a burst of flavor in the mouth. Intense lime, citrus characteristics, embracing acidity in a good way. It's I don't want to say it's like drinking a red wine, but you think of red wines as having more bold character and flavor, and this has lots of intense flavor to it. It's just wonderful. And one of the things about Riesling, because it's got such intense acidity, this can go with such a wide array of foods. This would be excellent served with lighter fare, just like you might serve with this Orvieto, but it's got enough strength and backbone to it that it can stand up to really big and bold dishes, whether it's a pasta with a heavier, richer sauce on it, or you know what, and I've done this, where you're outside, you're grilling burgers or steaks, and you don't want a heavy red wine that you might traditionally think of with those. Riesling can do it. You take a lot of white wines and put them next to a grilled steak, and they're going to start to whimper and cry and try and sneak away because they're scared of that steak. If you take a Riesling, it'll wrap its arms right around that steak, and they'll be good buddies, and you'll have a good time. So yeah, Riesling, always one of my favorite friends, and this is completely dry. Can I finish this bottle before we go on? I'll come back to it later. Now we will go to South Africa. This is the Badenhorst estate. They've been known to produce some fairly wonderful wines there. This particular bottle is 56% Shiraz, 22% Cinsault, and 21% Grenache. Those of you using a calculator realize that leaves 1% for Tinto Barroca, which is a grape I'll admit I'm not really familiar with. But since there's only 1% in here, I don't think we're going to have that involved too much in the wine. Now, one thing, I'll just be up front, I really like South African whites. I've never been a big fan of the reds in general. They have some funky character that I'm not a big fan of. And yet this wine does not have that, and I do really enjoy this wine. It's got a nice softness, kind of rich, in a not real heavy way, if that makes sense. Got a little bit of a smoky flavor, I think you could say, to it. This would do excellent with stuff coming off the grill, whether it be a simple hamburger, ribs, something that you've smoked. Yeah, you know, the chickens, I'm going to put a moderately bold rub on them today, and then they'll get a good bit of hickory smoke to them. This may not be the perfect pairing for them, but it'd be pretty good too. I wouldn't turn it down. Now, the last wine. A lot of people I know, reps that come in to see us and pour wines, they would have done this. Started with sparkling wine. Or they might have moved it while it was before the red. The reason that I put sparkling wines almost always last is because they tend to have really bright, bracing acidity to them. And that acidity, to me, kind of takes over what's going on in your mouth. And even tasting a big, bold red right after one, I think it makes it a little more difficult. So this is the route I go. Do what you like to do. So this is a wine called Riva Rose, something we've been selling for quite a few years now. It's just a wonderful, light, refreshing rosé that happens to have bubbles. It's from the Provence area in southern France, non-vintage. Dry, crisp. It's got a little bit of a richness in there with it. I think it's probably some strawberry characteristic I'm picking up. Again, salads, lighter foods, just sitting around sipping on. The sparkle in there gives it a nice lively feel in the mouth, accentuates the acidity in the wine. I think all of us, to include myself, are guilty of not drinking enough sparkling wine, so charge yourself with putting a little more bubbles in your life. Hopefully these have been some things that sound and seem like a little bit of fun to you. And as always, if there's any questions or anything, let us know. If there's wines you'd like us to discuss in the future, let us know. We'll see what we can do about that. And everybody, take care, stay safe, and hope to see you all soon. Cheers.